Coming to live from Nairobi, Kenya. This is TV47 News Tonight. It is 16th day of February 2023. To a top 3 picks just for you. Tonight, the food security situation in the country has deteriorated, with an estimated 6 million people in 32 counties greatly affected.
The government has had to reorganize its budget at the expense of many other programs and projects in order to mobilize resources needed to cushion millions of Kenyans from the effects.
This as President William Ruto calls for scale-up of interventions to tackle the current drought.
Calling out the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Noordin Haji's conduct is unbecoming. He has become a huge threat to justice, the rule of law, accountability and good governance in the country.
Also tonight, Azimio leader Raila Odinga slams DPP Noordin Haji, says he is a threat to the justice system.
Matano ijao tutakwenda hapa Nairobi katika ile uwanja wa Jivanjii hapo Nairobi kwenda kuomba. Tutakuwa na maombi na Wakenya wote.
This as Azimio leaders plan to hold interdenominational prayers in Nairobi. Plus, no illegal guns recovered so far in West Pokot, Turkana and Baringo counties, as operation to flush out bandits kicks off today. Welcome to the broadcast. Catherine Simelo is on the sign language docket, and I'm yours truly, Stanley Iringita. Now, DCI detectives are currently interrogating Pokot South MP David Kosing of allegations of incitement. The legislator was arrested this evening while leaving his office at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Reporter Mwege William is at the DCI headquarters and now joins us live. A very good evening to you, Mwege William. What is the latest from the DCI headquarters?
Good evening to you, Stanley, back in studio. The latest here along the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road is that just a few minutes ago, Danstan Omari, the lawyer representing the Member of Parliament Pokot South, that is David Kosing, has just arrived a few minutes ago. We have seen him making his way into the DCI headquarters where his client David Kosing is being held and interrogated in relation to banditry attacks in the North region. Remember, this is a troubled region for decades due to banditry and also cattle rustling. And you have seen for the past few days, the Kenya Defence Forces are going to complement the work of the National Police Service in a bid to flush out and also deal with the bandits from that area. And Kosing is already here. He was arrested, as you earlier stated. He was arrested. He was held late. He was picked by DCI detectives late in the afternoon from at his office, that is at the Kenya International Conference Center, KICC, here in Nairobi, and straight brought to the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road here in Kiambu County. But of interest is a few minutes after there is Omari making his way into DCI headquarters. We're expecting, or we'll be setting camp here to know what the legislator is being questioned to, even as the operation continues to take place in the North Rift region. And also we are expecting the lawyers at least to get him released for today, and we will also be setting camp to see if he'll spend the night here or he'll be released, and if any preferable charges will be placed against Kosing and what charges those will be. But of interest to our viewer is that already an ongoing operation is happening in the North Rift region as we speak, where KDF together with the National Police Service are conducting these particular at this particular operation. But also earlier on, the Cabinet Secretary of Interior, Kithure Kindiki, had stated that they are changing the operation, how they're going to tackle this issue or this menace of banditry and cattle rustling, whereby they will be going for financiers and also the financiers and also those who are benefiting from cattle rustling and banditry, and the arrest of David Kosing, clearly raising eyebrows. Is he one of the beneficiaries, or is he one of the financiers of banditry? And this is something we are trying to keep tabs to know what what the DCI wants to know from him in relation to banditry attack and also banditry attacks and also cattle rustling. And is Kosing one among the many, and what other arrest will be following after this arrest of Kosing? Remember, he's one of the legislators from this affected area, that is Pokot South. And this is not the only area which has been affected by banditry. Remember, also other 6 counties have been highlighted by the Ministry of Interior as hotspot areas, or rather affected by cattle rustling and banditry, among them being Turkana. We also have Baringo County, we also have Samburu, Laikipia, among other counties. So we are setting Nyaringita, we are pitching tent here at Kiambu Road at the DCI headquarters to know what is going to unravel, more to follow, but to assure our viewer that we are braving the cold to bring you details blow by blow as it happens here at Kiambu Road, that is the DCI headquarters. Stanley.
Well, thank you for that, Mwege William at the DCI headquarters, and just giving us live updates on the arrest of a Pokot South Member of Parliament, that is David Kosing, and we'll definitely be keeping our eyes and ears in the ground to keep you updated in what will be following up even tomorrow. Now, still on the same matters of banditry attacks, a call to surrender illegal firearms in Baringo County has not borne any fruits, with no illegal arms surrendered 3 days after the government offered amnesty to those who will surrender their illegal firearms. And as Chichi Josephine reports, Baringo residents continue to flee their homes for fear of their lives.
On a visit to Kasiela, Arabal and Sinoni areas, some few presence of security personnel armed with guns is visible here, although residents here are still fleeing the area, with the few remaining expressing their fear, saying the operation may fail to yield any fruits.
Watu walihama kuanzia 1 kilometer hapa chini, sasa hapa ni mwisho kwenda juu. Sasa watu wameenda kabisa.
Bandit iko kwa milima Ovuletu, hii milima ya Karkaron, Tandar, Ngelecha, Loromoru, Ramacha, bandit imejaa.
Residents here spend the nights away from their homes and return during the day for fear of harassment from the security personnel conducting the operation.
Hii serikali wanasema bandits wametolewa, flash out, squeeze kwa sehemu moja. County Commissioner alikuwa amesema juzi, lakini hiyo ni uongo kabisa, sababu hiyo wakora walikuja na bado wako hapa mlimani Karkarun, na saizi wako na ng'ombe yao huko, wanachunga huko, usiku wanakuja, wanarudisha tu ng'ombe kwa boma yao na wanakuja kufamia watu.
Majority of residents do not have food because most vendors have closed down and moved to safer areas, with the majority of the affected being children and pregnant women.
Hatuna chakula, watoto hawajaenda shule, hata wamama wajawazito wanalala msituni, hata mwingine alijisalia kwa msituni.
Nasema na tumekataa atuendi poma ya mtu, na tumemwambia watoto yetu hatuwezi kuenda kuikufia, kwa maana tunajua tukienda Mochongoi atatupuata, na hata ule ananyeta ile iko Mochongoi, tukitoka hapa ataenda Mochongoi.
The bandits are said to be hiding in Korkoron Hill, Ngelecha, Dandare and Baltelo areas.
Sasa anahamisa mali hapa, anafukuza sisi, alafu anaishi hiyo maboma. Kama sasa ile mlima watu ya Korkoron alitolewa huko, alafu anaishi huko sasa.
Hata wakituma hiyo wanajeshi, tunaona hawatatoboa huko, labda watumie vitu kama ndege ama nini, sababu hii wakora ni hatari sana. afadhali hata hii nini Al-Shabaab.
Titi Josephine, TV47.
And the deployment of the Kenya Defence Force to conduct a joint security operation with police in banditry-prone areas continues to elicit mixed reactions, with residents lauding the move, even as a section of leaders differ with involvement of the KDF officers, terming the move unconstitutional. And as Muiga William interrogates, already the government has begun its security operation with the Ministry of Interior, placing dusk to dawn curfew in some of the counties affected by the banditry. But will this operation flush out the bandits?
The government's decision to deploy the Kenya Defence Forces to complement a joint security operation in all banditry-prone areas of the country has received mixed reactions. President William Ruto and Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki taking a tough stance on the issue following an increase in banditry attacks in various parts of the country, which has led to loss of lives and property. The government insisting this is to combat lawlessness, which has affected development, education, and to a larger extent causing tension among residents. Monday, Kindiki imposed a 30-day dusk to dawn curfew in 6 counties, including Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Laikipia, and Samburu.
We are moving into that area, and we will not leave that area until every illegal gun has been returned, until all children have gone to school, until we have stopped this menace.
While defending the decision to deploy Kenya Defence Forces to banditry-prone areas without prior approval by Parliament as required by law, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki stated that there was no need for prior approval by Parliament as the military will operate under the National Police Service, further saying that the government's priority is to restore peace and stability in the affected regions. Article 241 Section B of the Constitution states that the military shall assist and cooperate with other authorities in situations of emergency or disaster and report to the National Assembly. The situation remains tense, and there have been mixed reactions from the public regarding the deployment of the military in these areas.
The Constitution is very clear. The military is only there for external defense under very special circumstances. But the military is supposed to be deployed internally. There must be an approval by Parliament. Parliament must approve deployment of the security internally. And when the security is operating internally, they cannot be operating under another security arm.
Hii kitu aendelee, hata kama kufika mwaka 5, hata kufika mwaka 10, aendelee. Sisi nakubali, kwa sisi watu walikuwa nakubali. Hakuna mtu mwingine anasema ati mambo mengine tena tutakae chini. Mambo ya wajumbe ya kukaa pamoja hakuna.
If kitu hii itachukua, operation hii itachukua kama mwaka moja, afadhali chukue, lakini tuwe hands free kutoka illegal guns ambazo ziko katika mikononi ya wajambazi ambazo wanaishi hapa ndani ya Turkana.
Having read those particular sections of the law and the guiding principles that the KDF are duly of course instructed, commanded from the seat of the commander-in-chief to undertake this particular activity in the North Rift.
As the government takes radical steps to address the security situation in the North Rift, questions are being raised about the root cause of the unrest. In the last 6 months, more than 100 civilians and 16 police officers have been murdered by bandits and cattle rustlers in the area. The surge in banditry attacks has caused widespread panic and forced many residents to flee their homes. Will the Kenya Kwanza administration manage to silence the guns of the North Rift with their new move?
In the long run also, it's not today and tomorrow issue. You need to think 5 years, 10 years down the line. Can we build more schools? What is the situation? Can we completely eradicate some of these cultures these people have of raiding and all that? Yeah. Can we introduce other forms of money making?
The North Rift region has a long history of deadly attacks, with 3 former heads of state deploying the military to address the situation. The most recent incident occurred last week, where 4 police officers were killed in an ambush on the Kitale-Lodwar Highway.
Failure as we know it is not etched in stone. There's no permanence in terms of failure. So having had that track record with the 4 presidents that have been cited here, and especially particularly on this area, should be a strong lesson to any other governments that come and
are settled on this issue that has been bedeviling that part of the country for a very long time.
Despite previous efforts to bring stability to the area, banditry and cattle rustling have persisted, claiming numerous lives and causing widespread destruction. The amnesty, which began Tuesday and which has had little effect, has received mixed reactions, with some quarters feeling it may not achieve much as it provides the people behind the attacks time to regroup and strategize.
Wakati ambapo hii operesheni itakuja kuisha, watarudi na hizo bunduki. Kwa hivyo serikali ijue namna ya kuangalia mambo kama hayo. Iongee na serikali ya ngambo ile ingine ya Uganda, ijulikane namna ambavyo watateka nyara hawa wahalifu.
Enye sisi tunahitaji, my president, ni operation ya direct ipate kuendelea, watoto waende shule, turudi kwa mashamba, tuende soko, tufungue hata kazi yetu. Sisi tulifunga kazi yetu, kama sisi wa mama tuliadhirika ya kutosha.
For a week, Cabinet Secretary for Interior Kithure Kindiki set camp in the North Rift region. Later, the Kenya Defence Forces have moved in to complement the work of the National Police Service to get rid of the bandits in the area. Will this change the narrative of the security situation in the area? Well, this is a wait and see situation for now. Mwigi William, TV47.
And at the same time, a joint security operation to flush out bandits in the northern part of the country has kicked off today, with officers from the Kenya Defence Forces together with the National Police Service deployed in Kerio Valley to flush out bandits in the 6 zoned counties along the North Rift. This coming just a few days after the amnesty issued by President William Ruto lapsed. This story was produced by Andrew Juma.
3 days after President William Ruto's directive for residents in West Pokot County to surrender all illegal firearms, no firearm has been surrendered, with the KDF and National Police Service kicking off an operation to flush out bandits. Pokot Central Deputy County Commissioner Jeremiah Tumo has issued a stern warning to residents, directing them to cooperate with the government in the same mission to restore peace in the area.
Tunataka sasa kuingilia ndani kule ile pockets hotspots kutafuta hii bunduki. Na mimi nataka kuomba wananchi tuweze kusema kwa serikali, tuweze kutaja hao watu wenye wanamiliki ile silaha ya haramu. Hawa ndio wamesababisha hii maafa yote. Hakuna haja ya kuficha. It is time to come out clean. Say bunduki iko pande. Tusaidiane wote tuchukue bunduki, na tukitoa bunduki hii ya haramu kutoka kwa hawa bandits, basi tutasikia hii eneo ya Kerio Belt itanyamaza. Mambo ya cattle rustling itaisha.
Tumo also noted that several illegal firearms have been recovered, 3 including the ones possessed by the security officers who were killed last week by suspected bandits at Kainuk area along
Amaler, Sekerot, na bunduki hizo ziliweza kuwasilishwa kwa makamanda ambao wanafanya hii kazi ya operation.
Sigor residents who spoke to TV47 expressed their disappointments in the ongoing operation, claiming that their business have been greatly affected with the curfew.
Tuliwacha watoto, tuliwacha hata paka pesa, tuliwacha hata mwenye alikuwa na mbuzi yake, waliwacha. Hasara ilikuwa kubwa sana. Hata paka sasa hivi tunaogopa kufanya biashara. Kwa sababu hiyo hasara ya juzi, hakuna kenye tunaenda kununulia pesa, kuleta hiyo nini stock nyingine, paka watu waliumia. Sasa tunashangaa. Hiyo Bachambasi wako senda ama wako msituni.
Others urging the government to use proper methods to tackle bandits without harming innocent locals.
Tunaomba huruma yako, utuhurumie watu wa Sigor. Ondoi askari wapeleke mali inatakikana. Wacha sisi tufanye biashara yetu. Na hii mambo ya curfew songesha paka usiku. Hata ushirika imekuwa ngumu kwenda ushirika.
Let's shift gears now to the corridors of the guest house. And senators allied to the Azimio coalition are now threatening to kickstart the impeachment process of Speaker Amason Kingi after he failed to effect removal of Fatuma Dulo as minority whip, according to a resolution made by the Azimio coalition yesterday. Further, the lawmakers accused Kingi of playing partisan politics and raping the constitution and the standing orders. And as our parliamentary reporter Elizabeth Mutuku tells us, the Azimio senators have accused the Kenya Kwanza government of working to destabilize the opposition through dictatorship, a move they say they will bravely fight.
Back and forth ensued in the afternoon Senate sitting over the Azimio and minority over leadership changes, accusing the Speaker of derailing the process and unconstitutionally interfering with opposition through dictatorship crafted through Kenya Kwanza government.
If for whatever reason the majority side decides on a particular matter and your office either disagrees, delays, or for whatever reason is not able to do it in the manner and the speed that the majority side wants, that we become chaotic, we become disorderly, we forget that this is a house of order, this is a house of rules, and begin to engage in a shouting match. I don't think that is a precedent that we want to set in this house. I have been where the minority side are today.
If you are looking for a chihuahua, a toy dog that you can control, go and look for it outside. Do not look for it in the seat of the Speaker. Do not attempt to control the Speaker. Do not attempt to convert the Speaker to a puppet of the majority leader. The Speaker is not your chihuahua. Okay. The Speaker is the umpire of this house.
None of you got as many votes as Sifuna. You are not going to threaten me. You have nothing on me. Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear that it does not matter which shenanigans are employed. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what we have to do. We are saying we are going to change our leadership because it is our right.
The chaos saw some of the senators ejected from the House and finally all minority senators leaving the chambers in solidarity, stating failure of communication on changes in leadership as crafted to rob opposition their voice. Led by Minority Leader Senator Stewart Mazayo and Narok Senator Ledama Olekina, the lawmakers threatened to kickstart the process of impeaching Speaker Emerson Kingi in what they say are reading mischief in Speaker's failure to communicate the changes 2 days after he received a letter.
But incidentally, the Speaker has been kind of dodgy, and he has refused to communicate to the House with regards to our communication. It is in that regard rendering basically the House of leadership on the minority side, which is supposed to check the government, leaving it open without leaders. What we have decided is that we cannot accept the ripping of our own standing orders, which have been there before, and they have been there. We are not going to allow that.
We know the Speaker ran away from the chambers today, and the whole of next week he'll be out of this country using public funds, going all the way for having fun in Cyprus, instead of doing what he's supposed to do. You know, to tell you the truth, these are chances where if you had a rungu, you just put it in his head. You know, because it doesn't make sense. When you look at Article 107 of the Constitution, it is quite clear. It says the Speaker presides on the House. If the Speaker is not there, the Deputy Speaker does the same.
On Wednesday, Kingi said that he had received a letter from Mazayo on the changes and that his office was processing the same before he makes communication on the floor. However, Deputy Speaker Kadhure Murungi insisted he is not in a position to deliver communication right away.
That is their intrigue. It is their intrigue to finish opposition in Parliament, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate. And that is why they have decided to weaken the opposition by having handshake. They say they don't want handshake, but on the other hand, they are having handshake with the political parties from the opposition. They are poaching. Now, once they have poached, they want those people also to have their cake and eat it.
Na tukihesabu vikao ambavyo wamekalia ni vikao ambavyo havishindi zile safari ambazo wameweza kusafiri. Kwa hivyo ikiwa serikali hii ya Kenya Kwanza ilisema itapunguza matumizi, iweje sasa spika wetu yuko nje safari kila wiki? Yaani akitoka safari hii, akifika airport safari nyingine iko tayari anarudi. Akitoka safari hii mikoba yake iko airport.
Senator Mazayo, do you know the chair? You engaging me? Are you engaging me? Senator Mazayo, you're out of order. And I'm telling you, I'll throw you. out of this chamber.
Street political fights have penetrated in the House, even as Azimio One Kenya continues to accuse the Senate Speaker of failing to effect the changes in leadership. This is, however, expected to affect the House business in the coming days. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Palm Beach, Nairobi.
And from the theatrics in the Senate, President William Ruto has called for scale-up of interventions to tackle the current drought. Speaking at State House, Nairobi, during the launch of the 2022 Short Range Assessment Report, the head of state identified priority areas as enhanced food assistance and cash transfers. And as Elizabeth Atieno reports, 6 million people in 32 counties have been affected by the drought, with close to 500,000 more food insecure people identified in 9 additional counties covered by the assessment.
As Kenya continues to grapple with what has been described as the worst drought in 40 years, the number of Kenyans in dire need of food has risen to 6 million, up from 4.2 million, with the number of counties affected by drought also rising to 32 from 23 in less than 1 month. 500,000 people from 9 counties now lack access to food.
The situation has worsened, with 5.2 million people being in need to our numbers of humanitarian assistance and an estimated 9.839 thousand livestock affected by drought.
The nutrition status of women and children has been greatly affected, as over 970,000 children below the age of 5 and 142,000 expectant and breastfeeding mothers remain malnourished. The situation is expected to worsen in the next 3 months if the drought persists.
I have an honor to announce ship of Ukrainian grain, of Ukrainian 1,000 metric tons of grain, is for loading in the port of Chornomorsk, and we hope that this ship will reach Kenya by the end of March. And
according to the National Drought Management Authority report, residents from Turkana, Marsabit, Mandera, Isiolo, Garissa, Baringo, and Samburu counties are most affected by malnutrition.
The pasture and browse would not last long due to the high concentration of livestock in the body condition, ranges from poor to fair in most ASAL counties. Generally, the livestock body are normal compared.
In a bid to tame the situation, the government has identified enhanced food assistance, cash transfer, health and nutrition interventions as key areas to cushion the millions of Kenyans in dire need of food and humanitarian assistance.
The interventions under consideration for the medium term include diversification of activities.
Speaking during a meeting with cabinet secretaries and diplomats at State House, Nairobi, President Ruto said the government has set aside 6 billion Kenya shillings in the latest supplementary budget to respond to the drought situation between the months of February and May this year.
Since September 2021, the national government has spent more than 32 billion to cushion lives and livelihoods. This includes 4.9 billion which the government mobilized since September last year and allocated towards immediate life-saving interventions, and a further 1.4 billion dispersed as cash transfers under the Hunger Safety Net program.
The president, however, called for more funding from international partners to help bridge the resource gap in drought response.
Currently, the Russian government is working closely with the World Food Program to sort out the details of a large shipment of 30,000 metric tons of fertilizers to Kenya.
Now I'm speaking on behalf of Kuwait. Since 2022, Kuwait have dug over 2,100 water wells in Kenya. And then in addition to that, Kuwait is sending very soon 2 borehole digging machines to dig as much as possible in places needed.
Irrigation and ecological restoration have been described as long-term measures that will help rehabilitate the environment and avert the effects of climate change. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Now, meanwhile, the Employment and Labour Relations Court has dismissed a petition filed by the Law Society of Kenya challenging the appointment of the Chief Administrative Secretaries, giving a green light for the government to appoint the CSs. And as Paul Kirobi reports, this paves way for the Public Service Commission to continue receiving applications from interested parties.
A ruling by the Employment and Labour Relations Court delivered by Justice Moni Kamburu will be a boost to President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza government, providing a leeway for the appointment of the Chief Administrative Secretaries. The ruling by Justice Moni Kamburu, who in October last year suspended the appointment until the case was heard and determined, found that the Public Service Commission followed due process. This will now pave way for the Public Service Commission to conduct interviews and picking suitable candidates for the job. The Law Society of Kenya had filed a petition in the court, arguing that the Public Service Commission violated the Constitution by advertising the CAS positions without disclosing to the public the effect of hiring persons who are not identified by the Constitution. The society further said that the CAS have a similar role as principal secretaries and will further stretch an already bloated civil service. This is a big win for President William Ruto, and he is expected to reward his political cronies who did not secure any position. A similar ruling was delivered in April 2021 by High Court Judge Anthony Mrima, who ruled that the creation of the office of the Chief Administrative Secretary was unconstitutional. Paul Kirobi, TV 47, Nairobi.
TV 47, the home of untold stories. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Tryson School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Right, some 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you for sticking around. Now, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has poked holes on the separation of powers between the prosecution and investigative agencies in the country, further faulting the director of public prosecutions, Nuruddin Haji, claiming that he has become a huge threat to the justice system, the rule of law, accountability, and good governance in the country. Listen in. The Azimio One Kenya Brigade has continued to mount its pressure on the Kenya Kwanza Brigade, with the leaders calling for a fair justice system. While addressing the media Thursday, flanked by other Azimio leaders, the former Premier Raila Odinga faulted the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nuruddin Haji, for dropping high-profile cases.
Calling out the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Nuruddin Haji's conduct is unbecoming. He has become a huge threat to justice, the rule of law, accountability, and good governance in the country. Haji must shape up or be shipped out.
Last month, Haji dropped the 1.1 billion Kenyan shillings corruption charges against former NHIF CEO Geoffrey Mwangi. Prior to that, Haji had withdrawn, among others, the 19 million Kenyan shillings graft case against Public Service and Gender CS Aisha Jumwa. Raila further gave marching orders to Azimio One Kenya rebels who had visited President William Ruto in State House. Odinga trained his guns on Ruto, claiming that the move to meet Azimio members was a ploy to take the country back to the one-party system.
Tumeona wabunge ambao walichaguliwa na wananchi ndani ya vyama ambazo ziko chini ya muungano ya Azimio wakipelekwa kwa mnada kule Ikulu. Wengine wanasema ati wanaenda kule kutafuta maendeleo. Hakuna maendeleo Ikulu. Wale wanaenda kushauri tumbo yao. Tunajua ya kwamba kila mmoja akienda kule anapewa shilingi milioni 5. Hiyo milioni 5 akichukua atapeleki kwa watu wake.
The Kenya Kwanza leadership now says Azimio la Umoja coalition had the intention of rigging the August 9th general elections through different mechanisms. The ruling coalition further states that Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga's latest antics are meant to jeopardize the country's economy, with Odinga expected in Kisii County on Friday in what he describes as a people's consultative rally. Collins Lusweti with that story.
In an interview with one local television station earlier this week, Azimio la Umoja Raila Odinga indicated that the coalition contracted the services of foreign IT experts to conduct ethical hacking operations against the system of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC in order to uncover the truth about the 2022 general election. Odinga says the hackers were tasked with the responsibility of probing the suspected modification of the outcomes of the 2022 elections. These claims by Odinga appear to have rattled the Kenya Kwanza coalition, with the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah coming out guns blazing, saying Azimio la Umoja had the intention of hacking the IEBC gadgets in a bid to manipulate the 2022 presidential elections.
You've seen reports of how those who accuse others of rigging elections actively participated in close to criminal activities of hacking communication gadgets and of both institutions like IEBC and UDA strategists and communication experts.
Ichung'wah says latest antics by Raila Odinga are meant to sabotage the country's economy. Earlier this week, Odinga announced the coalition will hold a prayer session outside IEBC offices. This follows a series of rallies the coalition has been holding in the country.
Sisi tunauliza wafuasi wetu wote wa Kenya siku hiyo wafike kule. Itakuwa ni maombi ya madhehebu zote na dini zote, interdenominational, Wakristo, Waislamu, Wahindu, wale wa dini ya kienyeji wote siku hiyo.
The majority leader now says the planned prayers outside IEBC offices are meant to cause chaos and disrupt business in the city center.
And we now see a pattern of moving beyond the insightful statements to an attempt, in the pretext of coming to pray at IEBC offices, to now get into town and destroy people's businesses. And we want to encourage all Kenyans to continue maintaining peace.
Kilifi North Member of Parliament Owen Baya, a former ally of Odinga, now wants the former premier to quit active politics, arguing he has nothing new to offer.
Tika Supreme Court ikateleza. Hata hii pia maandamano pia inateleza. Sasa yeye ajue kwamba kama vile nyani wakati wake umefika wa kwamba atoke katika hii siasa, aachie wanasiasa chipukizi.
The Azimio leader is expected to hold a rally in Kisii County on Friday, despite cracks witnessed within the Azimio coalition. Kisii residents had this to say about the planned visit.
The former governor, His Excellency Ongwae, uttered some words which were discouraging, and we found out that those are just but bypassing statements. Kisii people are very stable and they are behind Baba.
Tuko tayari na tunaongoja Baba Raila Amolo Odinga na grupu yake yote Azimio kuingia hapa kwa fujo kesho.
Collins Lusweti, TV47, Nairobi.
And from matters politics, officers from the DCI today visited Kaundu Street in Nairobi County to assess the scene of murder of NHIF employee Lillian Withera, who was allegedly shot dead by unknown assailants. Withera, aged 46, was shot on Monday evening while walking alongside her colleague along Kaundu Street. The killer bullet is said to have perforated and entered through the collarbone to her lungs. The bullet head was recovered at the scene and submitted for ballistics analysis. Motive of the murder is yet to be established. Her body was first booked at the Nairobi Hospital mortuary before being transferred to the Kenyatta University Hospital mortuary. Right, meanwhile, Kitui County Commissioner Erastus Mbui has affirmed that calm has been restored in most parts along the Kitui and Tana River counties border where the conflicts have the border of the day. He was speaking at Chumbe Market in New Ward during the assessment of the situation.
Following numerous conflicts witnessed at the Kitui-Tana River border, Kitui County Commissioner Erastus Mbui has now affirmed that peace has been restored at the border.
Tumesikia yale mmesema na tuko na hizo changamoto, na kule kwingine tumepitia, nimekuwa nikiwaambia kama mnaachana na mtu si anaenda na chake na unabaki na chako. Tunaelewana? Na hatutaki mwananchi aumie kwa sababu ameumizwa na jua ya kutosha.
According to the county commissioner, peace committees have been established in the affected areas in order to ensure that all disputes have been resolved to avoid conflicts.
Hatukuja kwa sababu ya kulazimishwa na mtu. Sisi ndio tuliwaambia tunakuja. Si mnatuambia shida zenu. Basi zote tutazishughulikia. Niombe maofisa wa serikali, tafadhali fanyeni kazi kwa uadilifu.
Mwingi Central MP Dr. Gideon Mulyungi, who was also present, demanded that all camels in his constituency be moved out before any further talks could be undertaken between the camel herders and the Kamba farmers.
Kina Habdi na Ismail na county commissioner na county commander tunasema hii ngamia kwanza iende. Kwanza iende kabisa. Alafu ile kamiti imechanguliwa hapa. Kama vile mnakaa ukasi. Ile kamiti imechanguliwa hapa, iketi chini na nyinyi mkubaliane. Mkikosa kukubaliana hakuna ngamia inarudi.
Nataka mnipatie suluhu. Na mwenye anajua kwamba ameajiriwa afanyie serikali kazi. Fanya kwa heshima yako, hata kama hakuna mwenye atakufuata, kunaye Mungu yuko juu mbinguni.
Gilbert Nalwa, TV47.
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission has maintained that the salaries of ECDE teachers will not be slashed, contrary to reports circulating on social media that the commission reviewed the salaries structure to scale down the salaries to as low as 7,000 Kenyan shillings. Sylvia Nyongesa with more.
Speaking after appearing before the Senate Committee on Education, SRC Chairperson Lynn Mengich and Council of Governors Education Committee Chair Eric Mutai termed the reports about a restructure of ECDE teachers' salaries as misleading and baseless, insisting that the Commission is yet to review the 2021 salary structure.
The salary structure that was advised by the Commission in 2021 is what prevails. It has been implemented since 2021 and it continues being implemented, and therefore wish to confirm that there is no pay of 7,000 or 6,000. There is no proposal to reduce pay.
Mutai, who is also the Kericho County Governor, assured ECD teachers of proper consultations should a need to review their salaries arise.
The position of the COG to our lovely ECD teachers is that we take you very seriously, we respect you, we honor you, and we respect the service that we are doing. Even if there will be any review, and we have invited again SRC going forward to the future, because it is mandated by Constitution to review salaries. There is no review of salaries that will scale down the salaries that are being earned. It has never happened anywhere in the world, and Kenya will not be about to do that. Kenya will not be the first country to review salaries downwards.
Senate is doing everything possible to see to it that the salaries remain what they are, if not higher, and we are also fighting to have them engaged on permanent and pensionable basis.
This circular, purportedly issued by the SRC dated January 13, 2023, directed county governments to implement the new grading and salary structures, which proposes a pay cut of between 7,383 shillings and 10,803 shillings. This prompted the Kenya County Government Workers Union to issue a strike notice if the structure would have been implemented.
Very bad situation. So we are here today to express our disappointment, displeasure, anger, and wrath towards SRC. Yes. We are here again today to make SRC know that there is an existing union of ECD teachers in Kenya So in all their meetings, in all their roundtable meetings and decision-making forums, they have never involved us. So there's no way they can come up with such proposals without first engaging the representative of early childhood teachers in Kenya.
On May 1st, 2022, the minimum wage in Kenya was increased to 15,120 shillings from the previous 13,572. Sylvia Nyongesa, TV47.
And to money matters, the Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Bank, that is KASIB, now says it will work with the county government to create alternative financing option. The new model will have counties categorized or rated based on their risk of defaulting the loan. The counties can access up to 60 billion Kenyan shillings from the different types of bonds that include infrastructure, water, municipal and pending bills. Speaking during the launch, the Chief Advisor John Mwaniki said KASIB will link private capital with projects, particularly in the sectors of health, financing, water and sanitation. So far, Nakuru, Nairobi, Mombasa, Machakos and Laikipia counties have expressed interest. The initiative will see counties obtain funds from financial markets for development.
But there are some certain conditions you must adhere to. For example, that's why the rating comes in. You must look at your pending bills. If you are a person or a county that is prone to growing your pending bill instead of reducing it, then you become a riskier entity. Secondly, we might want to say that this money is going to a specific investment, which we expect that those cash flows are being reinvested. By the way, we can deal with pending bills in totality. All we need to do is create a Paymaster General office in the county, where whenever works are issued in terms of LSO or LPO, that equivalent amount of money is put alien and put to the Paymaster General. So what happening now is that there is a lot of diversion from the counties. These counties can budget to collect 100. And due to various factors, they only realize 60. So that difference of 40, you find that the works were already issued. So there is a need to ensure that even as you do your cash flow, even the works are also being assigned or approved based on availability of cash flow. You as a market player, if you have lent a product or money to that county, it is also your interest to ensure that you follow up in terms of supplementary budgets of these counties. How are they doing them? So that the flags can be noticed early enough and you can mitigate.
Yes, the market has been a bit uncomfortable. That is because that there is a really heavy component of foreign investing that has to be managed with the exchange rates, and so that's a component of it.
And Kenya has been listed in debt distress in a report released by Treasury Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy 2023. The country's medium debt term stands at 60% of the GDP, with the external debt standing at 26.8% of the GDP and internal debt amounting to 33.2% of the GDP. The report further shows that foreign currency has dominated the country's debt, with US dollars leading at 68.1%, Euro at 19.8%, and Japan yen at 4.2%, British pounds at 2.3%, China yuan at 5.4%, and others at 0.2%. In addition, the report shows debt will be higher in 2025 to 2028 due to maturity of a sovereign bond. Nevertheless, Treasury remains positive that debt sustainability will improve by 2026 after settling major maturities coupled by exports as the global economy opens up. And into the wonderful world of sports. East Africa University Karate Championship silver medalist Tassia Awori has been celebrated in the Mount Kenya University, where she is currently studying law. Awori booked a slot in the World University Championship set to take place in July in South Africa after bagging the silver medal in the East Africa Championship. Speaking during the certificate and medal presentation, she explained that her journey has been full of challenges, but she hopes for a smoother path now that she has shown the world her prowess. While Mount Kenya Sports Department Coordinator Muyumba Fred added that the campus is investing in talents and has put up mechanisms to ensure that the students will not only excel in studies but also in core curricular activities.
Well, I started my karate way back in 2019, July. I trained for 4 months. Then 2020 Corona came, we had to stop karate till last year, October, when I am back to my karate journey. I've been participating in small games until I was able to reach East Africa, where I participated and won the silver medal. I'm aiming for gold medal in the World Championship, and not only that, I still want to do karate and reach black belt, and maybe become a sensei. Yes.
Mount Kenya University generally has put in place mechanisms to ensure that our students do not just excel in academics, but they also are good in co-curricular activities, because as you know, being well knowledgeable is not enough. You need to enhance your skills as well. So the university has put in place mechanisms and measures and has provided a lot of support, material, financial and resources to ensure that our students are well-rounded.
And Scorpions ladies hockey team head coach Meshach Senge has been named as the Sports Journalists Association of Kenya January Coach of the Month. Senge joined Strathmore in 2009, has led Strathmore University Scorpions to victory in the 2022 Kenya Hockey Union Women's Premier League title for the first time in the history of the Nairobi-based institution. With the recognition, Senge bags home 100,000 Kenyan shillings prize money, a 55-inch smart television set, and a trophy engraved with his name, becoming the third coach to win the coveted award after Dennis Mwanja of the Kenya Lioness rugby team and Handball Tirol's club's coach Brian Matthews, who won it in November and December respectively.
Actually, it wasn't in my mind at all. We were just doing our job, and this is a bonus to us and to the team. Actually, it is not my victory, it's the team's victory, because you did not make this on your own, so it is big kudos to the team. I owe it to them, and we'll celebrate this together with them. This level of competition calls for a bit of experience, which we're very short of right now. And having played now this game today and having staged the comeback, having showed the character that we did, it will be a motivation to move into the next game with a bit more belief. And I think it will help us do even better moving forward.
I think it's very refreshing just to see people who contribute so much to sports in our country, and often they go uncelebrated and unrecognized.